Finally, me. So, hi everyone. First, a few things about myself. This is it was exactly last year that I made my full performance here on the Frankfurt Art Bar, and today is actually my last performance here on the Frankfurt Art Bar. I'll be moving out of Germany in the next month. And since this is my last performance, I thought of about telling you a deep, dark secret about myself. So this is a confession that I have to make. And that confession is that people know me as a programmer, or at least someone who works in IT. Some of them know that I make video games for a living, that I'm a programmer for video games. But actually, that's true, but actually I'm also a chemical engineer. That's right. I'm not Batman, but I'm a chemical engineer. So I studied to be a chemical engineer, but when I became a chemical engineer, I thought about changing careers, and then I changed my careers, and then I became a programmer. And then after some time, I changed my career a bit, and I became a video games programmer. So I don't do chemical engineering anymore, but of course, like all the chemical engineers, I still have my hidden laboratory on my basement, filled with these glass tubes all around, those liquids with different colors, there's those liquids that have smoke coming outside, the acids, the explosions. Basically, I'm an evil genius. But like all chemical engineers are. So I don't usually tell people that I'm a chemical engineer, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I tell people just maybe because I have to, or because they ask me what did I do, or just because I want to brag about it. And when I tell this to people, when I tell people that I'm a chemical engineer, they react in various different ways. There's all kinds of reactions there. For example, some people just look at me with a very serious face, like they think I'm crazy or something. I'm telling them how I became a video games programmer, and they're looking at me and saying, "This guy, he has a promising career. Video games, that's a waste of his career. How stupid can you be? Come on." And there's all kinds of reactions like this. Another one is it's people who think that the chemical engineer can help them with something. They used to come to me and say, "Hey, you know chemistry, right? So tell me what paint should I use to paint my wall, like a house?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't care about paint. You pick the paint yourself." He said, "What? What the hell have you been studying chemistry for? You should know all this stuff." This was before. Because now, since Breaking Bad came up, every time I tell people I'm a chemical engineer, they say, "Oh, chemistry, right? So you cook drugs, right? So you can cook meth. You can cook meth, right?" When I ask them, why are they asking me about this, they say, "Oh, no, just curious. Just curiosity, Yeah, just curious. So, but you do it, right? So where do you sell it? You sell it at KFC? Sorry, this was a Breaking Bad joke. So I don't practice chemical engineering anymore, but I still miss the times when I was doing it, when I was working in chemical engineering, because chemical engineering is actually doing something useful. They work in manufacturing, in food processing, in oil companies and everything. They're actually doing something useful for the world. And the other day I met an Italian guy, and he was telling me what he was doing for a living. And he said he's working in investigation for climate change. is trying to find a way to control global warming. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this guy is fantastic. This guy actually does useful stuff for people. And I say to the guy, "Why? This is fantastic. You have a great job. You're actually saving mankind." And the guy turns to me and says, "And what about you? What do you do?" I make computer games. Yeah, I cannot save mankind with computer games. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about chemistry a lot in this performance. But now I'm going to talk a bit more about the chemistry of love. Because Valentine's Day is coming up. And who here loves Valentine's Day? Let's see your arms go up. Who loves Valentine's Day around here? That's right, no one loves Valentine's Day. Oh, a couple of people. And who hates Valentine's Day? One person? Okay, there's not much hate. I'm not gonna say I hate Valentine's Day. I just strongly dislike Valentine's Day. I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just even worse than the end of the world for me. Seriously, for me, Valentine's Day is the most stressful day of the year, and I'm gonna try to talk about this quietly because even talking about Valentine's Day makes me stressed. So it starts even before the actual day. It starts in the preparations. It starts because single people are stressed to find someone to spend Valentine's Day with. Like, will you come with me to Valentine's Day? No. Will you come with me to Valentine's Day? No? You? No? Man, I'm gonna be alone on Valentine's Day. And people in a relationship, they are all stressed trying to prepare the perfect evening on Valentine's Day. They got to make reservations in that fancy restaurant. They got to buy the perfect present for their significant other, which has to be not too cheap, not too expensive. It has to be meaningful, it has to be memorable, it has to be romantic, and the most important of all, it cannot be better and it cannot be worse than the present the other is going to give to you, which they have no idea what it is. I'm sorry. Let me get some of my breath. Can I have a glass of water? Okay. And then there's the flowers, and there's the candles, and then there's the rose petals, and there's the condoms. Hey, don't forget the condoms. Basically, you have to think about everything to make Valentine's Day perfect. And no matter what you do, and no matter what your relationship status is, it always ends up exactly the same way when Valentine's Day is over. When you're single, you end up sitting on the couch, drinking. Oh, thank you. I feel better now. When you're single, you end up sitting on the couch, drinking, and watching romantic comedies on TV, and feeling miserable because you're all alone. And you drink so much. I mean, for the amount of whiskey you drink, it should be called Valentine's Day, not Valentine's Day. Really. Now, when you're in a relationship, you end up sitting on the couch, drinking, and watching romantic comedies on TV because your girlfriend kicked you out of the bedroom, and you're sleeping on the couch. Because when you aim for perfection, anything can go wrong. So maybe the food was bad in your dinner, or maybe your ex showed up in the same restaurant as you, or maybe you told the ant joke from Curti, or maybe you gave her that perfect present you chose for her and she didn't like it. So basically, you're sleeping on the couch and you're feeling miserable because it's Valentine's Day and you're not gonna have sex. So I have a piece of advice for you guys. for people in a relationship, just relax, don't stress out, try not to make everything perfect. And for single people, just be glad that you don't have to suffer all this stress of preparation. Come on. And I already started living by these advices, and I actually had a pretty good Valentine's Day last year. Last year, I went to dinner in a fancy restaurant with two beautiful girls. Huh? Not bad, huh? Not bad. Of course, the girls ran away even before dessert and left me alone, but that's not the point. Wait, was it before dessert or after dessert? Wait, we ordered dessert. They ordered extra whipped cream on dessert. Oh wait, I remember. They took the dessert with them. Yeah, that's right. They ran away together with the dessert, left me to pay the bill. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that you need to relax and don't stress and don't make everything perfect. Of course, I ended up all alone and drinking like all of the other years, but that's not the point, really. That's not the point, guys. I'm a bit calmer now. Sorry about the stress. I'm gonna go back a bit to the chemistry thing, and I really miss chemistry sometimes. And lately, I've been doing listening a lot of things about science and stuff, and I've been listening to a lot of TED Talks. You know what TED Talks are? Yeah. Everybody knows. Yeah. And I became quite addicted to them. And there are TED Talks. There are very interesting stuff about these TED Talks. From the guy who tries to find happiness with spaghetti sauce, from the girl who tells you the 10 things you didn't know about orgasm. There's interesting stuff all over the place. And there's even a TED Talk when they picked up all of the other TED Talks and tried to make connections with him and between them and try to analyze all the data and everything. That was pretty cool. So I became quite addicted to them, and I thought about, why don't I make my own TED Talk? I want to do my own TED Talk, but I don't think I'm going to be asked to any TED conference so soon. So I thought about doing it here. And I thought, okay, so since this is my last performance, maybe I can break some ground rules of stand-up comedy, especially the first two. The first rule of stand-up comedy is that you do not talk about your fellow performers. The second rule of stand-up comedy is that you do not talk about your fellow performers. So what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about my fellow performers. Actually, I'm not doing a talk about my fellow performers. I'm going to do a talk about all the stand-up comedy in the world. I'm just taking a sample of 10 of my fellow performers and extrapolate it to the whole world, which any good statistical guy does. So what did I do? So I tried to collect the data. I watched thousands of videos of stand-up comedy. Actually, I watched 2 videos and then I decided to make up the rest of the data. And I plotted the results, and I arrived to very interesting stuff. So, and I've got charts and everything. So I'm going to show you a chart. Not this one. Wait, don't tell me I forgot one. Okay, I forgot one.
Oh.
It's over there. Maybe you can get me from my backpack. That's in the photo. So one thing that I wanted to know was where do stand-up comedians come from? Yeah, that's the first chart. Yes. So, and I came up with this. So you can see a lot of countries here. You can see like India and Pakistan and Italy. But the country most represented here is Portugal. So you can get, like, in the world, it's like 10% of Finland guys, 10% of the UK, and 25% of Portuguese. In fact, for every 10 performers, there are 2.5 Portuguese performers. Now, the reason why I put 2.5 is that there's a fellow performer of us, which is called Leander, who always claims that he's half Portuguese, half Belgium. So this is the Belgian part of it, and this is the Portuguese part. So we have 2.5 here. So the second thing that I wanted to know is what do they do for a living? What are their real jobs? Two jobs. If you are a stand-up comedy performer, you either work on IT or you work on video games. 60% of the performers work on video games. And this goes to the whole world. Remember, I'm extrapolating to the whole world. So, of course, that Seinfeld works in the bank doing his website, and Louis C.K. works for Angry Birds. And, of course, if you have any other profession, like, for example, chemical engineering, you cannot do stand-up comedy. That's why I changed careers. Now, we're coming to the interesting stuff here. I wanted to find out what is the probability of doing racist jokes when they're here on stage. And what I found out was very interesting. What I found out is that the darker is the color of your skin, the better the probability of you doing a racist joke. This is all very scientific. I made up of the gentleman, but it's okay. And I find this is very logical. I find this very natural, I think, actually, because of course some peoples are more aware of their race than others, and maybe that's because they're black. Right? And finally, I wanted to analyze also the frequency of dating jokes. And I came to another interesting conclusion, that the people whose country starts with a P, like Portugal or Pakistan, have the more probability of making dating jokes. And that's all very natural to me as well, because P stands for penis. Of course, it's logical, right? It's logical, right? And it's closely followed by the letter U for USA and UK, because U stands for that planet that I cannot talk about. Of course, this is all very scientific stuff. All right, before I go, I just want to say I want to thank the Frankfurt Art Bar and Gertie over here for coming up with the open mic jokes, open mic nights, to try to push me here on stage, like some of you did today. And there's an expression that I grown to love here on stage, which is, that's it for me. Thank you very much.